Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the Art Deco style, specifically residential, although this is primarily a commercial style. This would fit perfectly in the high school years world, but I don't have that pack, so we are building on a 20 by 30 lot in Newcrest instead. There's not a lot of great Art Deco stuff in the base game, so really this is more of an Art Deco inspired build. However, as the channel grows, I hope to be able to grab more packs and hopefully come back and visit these builds in more detail, but for today, this is still going to be a really fun build. We're still going to learn a lot. Let's get into it. Art Deco was a style that started in the early 1920s but really took off after being presented at the International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Arts in Paris in 1925. While most of the buildings that are in the Art Deco style are commercial or apartment buildings, the focus of this series has been residential, so we are going to stick with that today. The same styles and techniques can be used for the commercial side as well, so if that's your goal, you'll still enjoy this video. So, what makes the Art Deco style so unique and beloved? Inspired by the future, the sharp lines and heavy reliance on geometry made these buildings look incredibly stylized. A stepped facade, flat or stepped roofs, decorative panels, smooth finish like stucco or tile, and geometrical motifs are key external features. Windows could be glass block or glass panes, but would be organized in rows, and parapets and spires could also be present, although not so much on the residential side. One of the best phrases I found in my research to explain it is sleek but not minimal, and I am inclined to agree with you, this Bruce. Now is a good time to remind you that all of these images and articles are linked below in a Pinterest board, and I highly recommend you check them out. Moving inside, it would be common to see the same shapes, materials, and patterns from the exterior carried through the large rooms. Bright, bold colors would often be contrasted with black, white, silver, and gold. Because this was primarily commercial or multifamily building style, there are not a lot of Art Deco homes that were constructed as such, but many homes adopted the Art Deco style where they could to keep up with the times. This would be similar to how today homes that are not farmhouses are using white siding and black trim to resemble that style. For us, this means there's not really a go-to floor plan or layout, like with most of the styles we have covered, but that also means there's so much more room for creativity. This style was popular until the late 40s when the modern movement came into play. Now we are using a lot of curved walls today, as you saw at the start of the video, so that's why this build is at the intermediate level. However, if you still want to build an Art Deco and you're just not quite comfortable using curved walls yet, no worries, you can just square off any of these edges. It'll still look great. I just saw the opportunity to use the curved walls and took it. So if you are using curved walls along with me, we're going to start with the rounded room extra large. Just rotate that and place it one tile away from our side, assuming you are also building on a 20 by 30 lot. So we're going to place that and then shrink it to get rid of those little straight wall pieces on either side. So it should look like this. Also, I will be using medium wall height today. You can copy, rotate, and place to create a semicircle and then delete this wall. Now, very important, copy this right now and place it on top of itself. Delete all your walls, you don't need them. But we are going to need to turn this into a platform later, and it's just going to be a lot easier to get that prepped now. Back to the ground floor, we do need one other curved room, which is the rounded room large. Once again, I'm going to place that and then get rid of those straight wall pieces, copy it, and place it on top of itself. Now I'm going to copy that and place it on top of itself again, and now remove the walls. Technically, we don't even need this level right now. We'll get to building that in a second. But again, we need this curved platform piece up here, and it's just going to be easier to take care of that now, so that's why that's there. Now that we have some wacky shadows, let's actually build something. I'm going to start down here and draw a wall that is 11 tiles long. At the back, I'm going to do a 5-tile wall and then bring it down 4 tiles. Jump back over 2 and then just draw down to about here. This is going to turn into a hallway. We could put a bathroom right here, and then this will be one of the bedrooms. We can draw the rest of the hallway like this, just coming down. I do like the 2-tile hallway for this build. You could take this wall here at the end of the hall and draw over 4 and then bring it down to connect. That is going to be our dining room. If we close off this space and then delete the wall here, this will turn into our stairwell. The kitchen is going to stick out 2 in the back here, so we'll go up 2, to the left 5, and then back down to connect. And it appears I made an error, which we can fix just by pulling this out. This is actually supposed to still be 3 tiles right here. We can do the same fix up here. But now I'm going to take this section and just pull it out until it's 1 tile back on the edge of the kitchen there. Oh, I'm also drawing from this floor plan primarily, which is of course in the Pinterest board linked down in the video description. Let's go ahead and place our staircase. I'm going to start it out here because I need it to double back on itself like this, so that the higher portion of the stairs is closer to the front of the house, like that. Now upstairs we're going to trace most of this, so I can actually start by copying this room, which means we don't have to replace our stairs again, and then we can start drawing. So we're going to start here and trace along this edge, leaving a space for a balcony, then go up and down and come back around so that we basically just cut off that main semicircle at the front. This isn't actually where I want my walls though, so let's just get rid of these. You can hold control while building with the wall tool to remove a wall, which is super handy. And from the corner of the opening by the stairs here, we're going to draw straight over to the left and connect that wall. This is where some of the trickiness of the curved walls comes into play. You may have some difficulty connecting that. I have been for both the pre-build and this one. This little 2x3 area is going to be a Jack and Jill bathroom. The other side of this bathroom will connect to a bedroom right here, and the main bedroom will take up the rest of this space. I'm going to add a walk-in closet and bathroom at the back here. Next, take this staircase, duplicate it, and place it right in the corner right here. And I am going to delete the underside of those stairs just to give it a little bit more visual space. And those stairs are going to lead to an upstairs sort of office, or really whatever you want to make it. You could probably do another bedroom up here if you wanted to as well, but I'm going to make this space 4 tiles wide and span from the front to the back of the building. Right here is that curved piece of floor that we wanted for that platform, and there's a ceiling that we don't need. Alright, we're almost done. We're just going to add a couple of more decorative elements now. So down here, I'm going to add a 4x1 section and then a 2x1 section. Page up and create that exact same shape. And up top, just the 2x1. This is going to create that stepped appearance that we talked about when we were going over the history and all those screenshots and everything. And I'm actually going to delete the floor in these sections so that it will bring light all the way down into the living space. We'll delete these walls to basically make them like little T's and grab a half wall so that it is open below. If you want to use this space, you totally can. I'm actually going to push it back a little bit like this, and I'll do that half wall again down here. If the half wall isn't placing, like for whatever reason it's not placing for me right now, you can click on here and select replace with half wall, and then from there you can adjust it to be the height that you want. If I put some lights in, you can see a little bit better how we have that wall right there on the side of the stairs. And if we page down, we can see that this opens down into the floor below. Let's finish up the roof. While you may find some sort of traditional style roofing on some Art Deco homes, most of them will have a flat roof, or at least primarily a flat roof. So this platform that we placed preemptively a little bit earlier, I'm going to raise this 3. I'm going to raise this platform 3. And I can use this platform tool to draw in the rest of the platform that I need up here and make sure it's all the same height. I'm also going to add a platform here and here, although this balcony I'll be closing off with a half wall. Maybe. There we go. So this is what you should be looking like from the back at this point, and this is what it should be looking like from the front. Now if you want to, you could totally switch this level up to be medium wall height as well. Now when you're picking colors for your rounded pieces, you are going to want to start with the platform siding options, because you cannot put half walls on curved portions, which is very sad. On flat walls you can add a half wall and then you can just paint that the same color as your walls, but we have a lot fewer options here basically. So you can use something like the firmament platform, pick a color there that you like. You could potentially use some of these brick by brick bricks as well. All going to depend on your color scheme that you're going for, but these two have a lot of very similar color options in the paint department, which is good, and you do not want to use any of the siding. You're very rarely going to see an Art Deco with siding on it. If it has siding, it's probably someone trying to renovate it and update it. But that is a rant for another day. I'm going to go with blue just because I feel like blue is a good color today. And then I can use the stucco on you to get a fairly similar shade of blue here. Is it the exact same? No, but don't worry. Next, we're going to take the inlaid exterior trim. I'm going to be using black as my accent today, but white would work as well. And then I'm going to take the smooth keeper fence, select this option down here, the replace fence, and I can use that to put trim on the top. Now you see those double lines that are so common in so many Art Deco builds, and we're going to pretty much replicate that on the rest of the build as well. So I'm going to go ahead and place these fences and the trim. Now you don't have to have any sort of a separate colored piece. If you don't want to, of course, do whatever works for you. I just thought it'd be fun to show a good way to incorporate color if you want it. But if you prefer more of the white look, using the unbent smoothness, pretty in plaster, the plaster makes perfect, or the stucco on you, those are all great options for your outside, as well as possibly the ornate brick. Stephen Graham's Habitat bricks, or this gristle glue brick. These will all keep that very smooth finish that you want, as opposed to some of the rougher bricks. You're not really going to want to use that as much. I have chosen unbent smoothness, and now to finish off those platforms, I'm just going to grab the firmament, and it matches fairly decently. If you want to match this blue, the construction quality concrete has a bluish option here. So you could do that, or you could grab any one of these many concretes in a different color, like white, and use that instead. Really just depends on what colors you're most interested in highlighting in your build, where you want them, all that stuff. Now at the back here, I am going to add a pool, so I'm going to place a deck down. I'm going to bring this out to be 2 tiles away from the edge of my lot, so right there. And the reason I wanted to bring in a pool was to highlight some of those Art Deco shapes, like this, that we can't really get too many places in the build, just due to the building restraints put on us by The Sims 4. I think the last construction thing we have to do in this part of the menu is to go through and add some trim to our half walls. I'm choosing black again because that is the accent color of the day. I'm going to add a half wall here, although you could definitely add a railing instead if you wanted to, just something to close it off a bit. And this approximately is what you should have right now. Again, if you're following along and you're not super confident in the rounded walls or they start giving you troubles, no worries, just jump back to the beginning, and when I start placing rounded walls, just place a room of approximately the same size instead. Go for those corners, it'll still carry the style out just fine. Curved walls or not, residential or not, your Art Deco build should have geometry and sleek lines as the base. These strong lines are quite common, as well as the vertical sort of stepped shape that we have here. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the only pack that really has Art Deco elements in it at this time is the High School Years pack, which I do not have. So I'm going to be just sticking with the base game and using my imagination to create shapes. But if you have that pack, or you just want to see what Art Deco items you may have, it is actually an option here in the little menu. The only things that I have in all of my packs that match the Art Deco style are these 6 items from the Decor to the Max kit, which I do like, but since I'm sticking with base game, like I said, I'll just have to use my imagination. But you can sort by styles over here, very handy. For doors and windows, we're going to be looking at a lot of glass. Now we don't actually have glass block windows in the game, which is probably fine. So if you wanted to get a glass block-ish look, you could take these small windows and sort of stack them together, farther apart or closer together, like that, but more. Now for the sake of time, and because it works just as well, I'm going to be using these really tall sort of single pane windows. I have move objects turned on, as well as I've pressed F5, but really I'm going to be using Alt quite a bit to sort of slide these windows around, because if I just place them how they want to place, they will overlap, or they won't line up. So we're just going to go around very carefully, and I'm going to place 4 windows on either side of the center line, like that. While we are here, I'm also going to place these windows over here where apparently I forgot to paint. Oops. And 1 in the bathroom, and just line that up right up here. I think that these windows will help distract from the fact that the blue doesn't carry all the way through. In the back here, I'm going to add 3 windows, top and bottom again. And yes, this is a little bit more modern, but like I said, I don't really have a lot of Art Deco options, especially not in the base game. And since Art Deco sort of gave birth to modern, I don't think it's that big of a deal. If you believe that it's a problem though, please let me know. You can leave your suggestions, corrections, and questions in the comments as always. Alright, now over here I'm going to place a window, skip a space, and place another window. In the middle I'm going to add this glass door, grab these little light box windows, and again because I have move objects on, I can start placing it here, but then use Control 9 to get it to place a little bit better. Hold Alt to slide my little windows over. And while this isn't necessarily an Art Deco arrangement, it is using more geometry, it is using straight lines, and if you really wanted to get more of that stepped sort of appearance, you could totally grab these slightly shorter Let There Be Light windows and place them on either side. Ta-da! Or something. So that's how I'm doing all of my exterior doors, and then I'm just going to match the windows above. I don't really want windows on the front of my piece right here. I feel like that's going to be a little bit distracting, so instead I'm going to grab the short wall height Let There Be Light windows and place them along the side. This way we're still going to be getting light in, but you can't necessarily see it from the front, and I think that's cool. If you ever wonder why I'm doing a thing and I don't expressly say why, that is the reason. I think it looks cool. Alright, I'm going to add 3 windows here as well, and I think that will be the last of the windows. Oh, I do still need a door to get to this balcony here. Alright, now I think that's the end of it. So this is what the back of my build looks like. This is what the front of it looks like. And now we can move inside. When you're working on the inside, I highly recommend working from some reference photos because the Art Deco style isn't as cut and dry as some of the other styles we've looked at. For example, the Greek Revival tends to have pine floors, or the Shingle Victorian pretty much is all earth tones. So stuff like that is great. The Art Deco is way more colorful though. Bright colors, bold colors, chrome, gold, just all sorts of awesome stuff all throughout the place. One of my personal favorite combinations from the Art Deco movement has been green and gold, so I think I may work with that a bit on the inside here. And when you pick out your floor color, as always, switch up your stairs so that they match. Much like switching out from the default roof texture, that's just going to give your build that much more polish. I forgot to add kitchen windows. I'm going to pretend that I did that on purpose so that I can remind you that when you are placing windows in your kitchen, it's really helpful to place some counters first, so that you can place your windows above them. And I do want to show you one other thing with the floors before we move on. While we do have this chevron flooring, you can also make your own if you want it to be a little bit bigger and bolder. I'm going to show you with black and white just because it's going to be easiest to see, but start with a base color for your floor, grab a second color and use Ctrl F to get quarter tile placement. From here you can add other bold patterns that were common in the Art Deco build style, such as zigzags. These are pretty big zigzags, but they're zigzags, right? So something like that, or a little bit tighter like these. Yes, this is definitely reading a bit more modern or contemporary right now, but changing up the colors or the textures can really change it up a lot. This is just for so you can see basically. Another really popular pattern would be chevron, which is basically making zigzags that meet up in the middle. So we're going to do a zigzag this way and this way, so we end up with a chevron. One of my favorite patterns. You could immediately bring this down to a much more muted level by doing something like a black and a gray or two very similar tones, or brighten it up with some green and gold. You could even do it with the exact same floor piece, or floor paint, or whatever you want to call it. So you can see this is the exact same floor, but I've rotated some of it to do these zigzags. It's definitely a look. Lots of experimentation to be done. Next up, interior doors and arches. Again, I don't really have a lot of great super Art Deco options, but I'm going to once again err on the side of the more modern and stick with some nice big arches like this. Going to make sure I have a walk-through area back here as well, and grab some plain black doors for the rest of the rooms. In the middle of the wall here would be a great place to add a fireplace. The best one from the base game is probably this more plain one. But if you have the Decor to the Max kit, this one could definitely add some pizzazz. Or you could go for a more updated look with this electric fireplace from City Living. So many options, so few actual Art Deco items. Similarly, in the kitchen I am going to stick with, once again, just a sort of contemporary modern sort of style with the cabinets and everything. With this kitchen being more of a walk-through space, you definitely want to try and prioritize having it just on the one side. I mean, it's The Sims, so you could definitely have it around and it's not going to affect you too much, but in real life, the traffic would really get in the way if the kitchen was sort of split between the two sides. So that's what we're going to do there. And for the bathrooms, same thing, different space. If you're playing with a family, I find that some sort of Jack and Jill bathroom for a couple of the kids can work really, really well, just because it's an extra toilet really close to where they wake up. If you ever notice that your faucet is clipping into your mirror and you have move objects on, you can use 9 or Control 9 for those of us who have weird camera settings we don't remember using. You can still raise mirrors up. You cannot lower them, but you can raise them, and that's worth something. Because Art Deco turned into modern and modern turned into contemporary, if you're looking to update sort of your Art Deco build and give it more of a contemporary flair, that's going to be pretty easy. You already have a lot of the main components in place, which is you have a lot of glass, you have the smoother finish, flat roofs, large geometric shapes, all of that stuff. If you wanted to modernize it a bit, you may want to look at switching out some of the colors, perhaps angling some of those curved walls, and either expanding or removing some of these extra steps. But not entirely, because then you would just get rid of all of the Art Deco fun. Before we move on to landscaping, if you haven't already and you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to give it a nice big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend doing that. We'll have a wide variety of styles coming, and if you missed any of the previous uploads, they will be in a playlist at the end of the video, so you can always catch up, go back and check them out. If you're interested in modern, contemporary, or mid-century modern, I do already do videos on those, so you can check those out. We have split level, all sorts of good stuff. Anyway, let's talk about landscaping. Because these were primarily constructed in more commercial zones, you're going to see a lot of symmetry, very limited greenery and stuff like that, but if you're looking at more of a residential scene, you're still going to want to stick with symmetry and repetitive patterns, but taking something like this cypress tree, scaling it down with your bracket key, and having it sort of line your build like this, while it's not technically symmetrical in the scheme of the whole build, it does still add some pattern and balance. You could also use platforms as planters in a way, and if you're not quite ready to build with rounded walls but you still want to add some curves to your build, this can be a great way to do it. First, place your little platform like that, and then you can go ahead and grab some grass paint, just like that. You can't actually paint like terrain paint on there, but you can use the grass paint, or you could potentially use this bottom of the basement as dirt, and then from there just grab your plants. I like to use the vertically slatted knock on wood platform for these little planters, and there you go. Of course you could raise it up or lower it down, but that's a nice way, like I said, to add some curves to your build, especially if you're not quite ready to build with the rounded walls. Because we have the rounded walls up front, I can't do a floor paint path, but I can do a terrain paint path. Whenever I'm adding any sort of path to my build, I like to do a soft layer of dirt first, and then I go back over with whatever I want my path to be, but I find that that little bit of a dirt edge lets the terrain paint blend well into the existing terrain, as opposed to just looking like rocks sitting on top of the grass. Don't forget to also put a bit of terrain paint under all of your trees, any other plants, and the foundation of your build. Don't forget a trash can and a mailbox. And that's about what I have for you guys today. Let's do a quick little tour and a quick recap as well. Because this style wasn't necessarily used as residential very often, especially not single family home, there's not really a set floor plan type to go for. However, most of the floor plans that I did look at tend to have quite large rooms and wide hallways. This office I just added for fun. I didn't necessarily see third story tower offices in any of the builds, I just thought it was cool, and it let us do this sort of stepped front facade up here. When we're looking at the exterior, lots of flat roofs and curves as well as those angles. Overall, we're looking mostly for a combination of strong, sleek lines, balanced geometry, whether it's symmetrical or not, and a little bit of color here and there. We have that sort of double line with the combination of the floor trim and the low fence, which you see in quite a lot of builds in this style, and that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for building with me. I am so happy to be back. I know that I'm still getting back into the groove of recording. It always takes a few videos to get back used to having the headset on and all that stuff, but we are getting there. If you haven't already seen any of the rest of the videos in this series, especially season 1, since this is only video 2 of season 2, I recommend checking that out in the playlist up here. Thank you so much again for building with me today, and I look forward to building with you again tomorrow.